On a dark night in late August, specifically on August 31st, 2011, Officer Kenneth Blue was on his usual night patrol, checking the area in one of the isolated roads in Buena Vista, Michigan. As he quietly walked along the deserted road, his eyes fell on a strangely parked car by the roadside near a slope. Officer Blue got out of his vehicle and cautiously approached the parked car to inspect it, unaware of what awaited him. When he finally reached the car, he was horrified by an unexpected sight. The body of a pregnant woman in the front seat, with a wire wrapped around her neck and secured to the car's base above her. Officer Blue was in shock, his mind racing with hundreds of thoughts, when another police car happened to pass by. Officer Tim Patterson, the second officer, was also shocked by the presence of the body. The two officers quickly examined the body, not knowing the identity of the woman. During the inspection, Officer Blue noticed a bag next to the body. When he opened it, he discovered a computer-printed suicide note. At the end of the note was the name Jenny Webb, revealing the woman's identity. Now, let us learn more about Jenny. Her full name is Jennifer Webb, but everyone calls her Jenny for short. She is 32 years old and was a very ambitious person, always hoping for a bright future. According to her family and friends, she was also a positive and well-liked individual. One day, Jenny discovered something that changed her life completely. She was 5 months pregnant. You might wonder how she didn't know she was pregnant for 5 months. The reason was that Jenny was a bit overweight and had never considered that she might be pregnant. Jennifer's mother was surprised by her daughter's unexpected pregnancy, and Jenny herself was also shocked. Jennifer wasn't married and hadn't been dating anyone for a long time before her pregnancy. So how did she become pregnant? At first, Jennifer denied knowing who the father was, but she soon confessed to her mother. She revealed that the father was an old friend she had known for 10 years. Her mother was still in shock and confusion since the person Jennifer mentioned was her best friend, and they had never dated or had a serious relationship. So how did she become pregnant by this person? Contrary to expectations, Jennifer wanted to welcome this baby, which she discovered was a boy. She accepted the idea of motherhood and even bought a house to settle in with her new child, whom she named Braxton. She wanted to be a single mother without involving the baby's father, as he was newly married and she didn't want to cause him any problems. She kept her pregnancy a secret from him at first, but told him months later. Months passed, and Jenny reached her 8th month of pregnancy, filled with happiness and preparing everything for the baby's arrival. Jennifer had a friend named Andrea who had recently given birth to twins. It was Jennifer's habit to visit her friend and help her with the children. On August 30th, 2011, Jennifer visited Andrea as usual and upon leaving, told her she would visit again the next day because she had an urgent meeting with the baby's father to discuss some matters about the child. Unfortunately, that next day never came, because on August 31st, 2011, Jennifer's body was found. You might now be asking, why did Jenny commit suicide? How could someone like her end her life and the life of the child she was eagerly expecting in such a manner? The police sent Jenny's body to the morgue to check for any evidence or fingerprints. Now, let's return to the suicide note found in the car. Strange things about the suicide note. Firstly, what raised the police's suspicion was the printed suicide note found in Jenny's bag. Who writes a suicide note on a computer? Secondly, the content of the note was strange. It appeared to be a confession from Jenny, admitting she had lied about the child's father. She claimed the real father was someone she didn't personally know, named Chris, with whom she had a brief fling after meeting him at a nightclub. Why would Jenny lie to her mother initially, then confess, only to lie again? Thirdly, the police officer assigned to inform Jenny's mother about her death gave her the suicide note. Her mother vehemently denied that Jenny wrote it. She insisted that Jenny always wrote everything by hand and had no convincing reason to commit suicide. In fact, nothing bad had happened in Jenny's life that would lead her to end her life and her child's. Even the writing style in the note was completely different from Jenny's usual style. As the investigation became more complex, a new police team was brought in along with some detectives. The first thing the new team did was search the area where Jenny's body was found, hoping to uncover new evidence. Indeed, one of the officers, while looking for clues, noticed a cigarette lying in the middle of the road. Nearby, he found a bloodstain, and next to the bloodstain he discovered a bead. This bead matched one of the beads on Jenny's necklace when her body was found. From that moment, everything changed, and the police became certain they were dealing with a criminal case, not a suicide as initially believed. The autopsy results revealed that Jenny's body was covered with bruises and signs of violence. Blood spots were found inside and outside Jenny's car, as well as on her body. Most of the blood was Jenny's, but some belonged to the killer. The killer's fingerprints were also found on the car. The suicide note was examined and had 14 fingerprints on it, none of which belonged to Jenny. A glove with the killer's blood and some of Jenny's blood on it was found in the car. The autopsy concluded that Jenny died from intentional strangulation, not from the cord wrapped around her neck. The cord was placed around her neck after her death to stage the scene as a suicide for whoever discovered the body. When Jenny left her friend Andrea's house, she went to an isolated place to meet a man. They had a disagreement that escalated to physical assault and an attempt to strangle her in a moment of rage. It appears the killer was wearing gloves, and Jenny bit one of the gloves in self-defense, causing the killer's finger to bleed. The killer then strangled Jenny, dragged her, wrapped the cord around her neck, removed the bloody gloves, discarded them, and placed the suicide note which he had written in her bag. However, he forgot that he had touched the note with his bare hands, leaving his fingerprints on it before fleeing. Now that we have examined the crime scene and found the evidence, who was the killer? The police had suspected someone from the start, so they went to this person's house and searched it, discovering several things. The police found many wires in his house and realized that the wire wrapped around Jenny's neck was one of his own. They examined his computer and found many strange searches, such as how to hide a body, how to kill someone quickly, and how to commit the perfect crime. They even checked some of his clothes that he wore the night Jenny was killed and found blood stains matching the crime scene. The police found several scratches and bruises on the suspect's body. The police conducted a DNA test and discovered that he was the father of Jenny Webb's child. The final piece of evidence came from Jenny's mother. When a police officer went to inform her about her daughter's death, the following conversation took place. "Officer, did you know your daughter was 8 months pregnant?" "Mother, yes." "And do you know who the father is?" "Yes. But his name isn't Chris, as mentioned in the suicide note. My daughter told me a different name." "Who is it?" "Officer Ken." With the mother's statement and the evidence found in the suspect's home, Mr. Ken was arrested for murder. His full name is Kenneth Blue. Yes, Officer Kenneth Blue, who initially discovered Jenny Webb's body, is her killer. On the night Jenny Webb was killed, Officer Kenneth Blue was missing for an entire hour. Officer Tim Patterson then went to look for him and found his colleague Blue standing in front of Jenny Webb's car. All the fingerprints in the car and the blood stains matched Kenneth Blue. The scratches on Ken's body were found to be recent, caused by Jenny trying to defend herself while he was strangling her. Officer Kenneth was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 3 charges: attempted murder, assaulting a pregnant woman, and causing the death of an unborn child. To this day, Officer Kenneth Blue's sister is still trying to prove his innocence, arguing that all the evidence is flawed and that the police are framing her brother unjustly. However, there is no evidence to support that the police are fabricating the charges, and all the evidence at the crime scene points to him as the killer. If Jenny had not tried to defend herself and injured her attacker, the killer's blood would not have been found in the car, leading to his identification. Now, what do you think of today's story? Did you suspect Officer Blue from the beginning or not?